Now we're going to talk about George's experience selling newspapers in Detroit.
When I was around 8 or 9 years old, going on to 10, I used to go down to the Walkerville Fair, down to the Detroit Ferry, and would kind of just exploring the situation. And I met the Urso brothers, who had the concession of the newspapers at the Walkerville Ferry, so no one else could sell any papers there. And during the rush hours, they were pretty busy, and I was there, and they got to know me, and I got to know them, and they hired me to go to, at the Park Davis Employees Entrance, where the work was over, and they were leaving work at 5 o'clock, to have somebody sell papers there, whereas they stayed at the terminal, the Walkerville terminal. So they couldn't cover both areas, so they could assign me that. So that's how I wound up selling papers for them. And our association with them turned to be very good, because we played ball together, and we grew up, and they were older than me and kind of my mentors too. And then there was another Syrian family, Edwards, that sold papers, but they were on Jefferson Avenue. We got to know each other, and we would start a ball game between the Urso brothers and me against the Edwards, the Syrian family, and we would bet a quarter man to see who wins the game. And we did this periodically on weekends and so forth. We were competing against each other. And of course, I was the smallest one, and the Urso brothers were the big, well, good athletes and good fighters.
They were boxers, weren't they?
They wound up during the Golden Glove area as national champs in their various respectable, responsible position. That's not the right word. But they're in that class division. They were national champs. They were good fighters. And then I left them in 1912, 1928 rather. And my brother decided to go back and visit Romania. So that's when I quit my papers selling in Detroit in 1927 and went to Romania with my mother, visiting Romania.
And that was in 1928, the trip that you went to Romania with your mother. Right. Going back to the newspapers, how much did they sell for, and how much did you earn per day?
Well, actually, the sold papers was 2 cents each. And of course, I was selling papers for the Urso brothers. I just got paid 25 cents per day then, but I could keep the tips, and I got a lot of tips, so I was pretty happy with what I was making. And this was done as a paper boy up until 1927. And then in 1928, after school, we visited Romania with my mother.
And where you were living was on Joseph Campo and Grand?
Franklin Street.
And Franklin, okay. All right. Well, let's pause here and move on to the next episode.